What's up, everybody? I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to be diving into my custom clones part 1. So I hope you all enjoy. I know a lot of you have been asking about them, so here we go. All right, kicking off this custom showcase video, we're going to go back in time and we're going to quickly go through the ones that I already had featured on the channel because I know a lot of you have been asking about some of my customs. So since I posted those videos, a lot of you are new, so I figured I'd just showcase some of my favorites from those episodes. In front of you, you are seeing the Dream Team on Umbara. We have Dogma, Tup, Kix, Hardcase, and Jesse. These are my original customs I have ever made, so I do apologize for them being extremely dusty because back then I used spray paint to seal the paint that I was using, and well, let's just say that made the figures very sticky. All right, we will start off with Clone Trooper Kix, primarily because this one is my favorite of the 5, and it's the one that I most recently updated, and I believe I mentioned it in my top 10 favorite figures ever. So this one came out very good. I really enjoyed making it. I used the blue oil-based pen Sharpie markers, and that's really what I used for the majority of my customs growing up. Until recently, I have made an amazing change, and I will showcase that later. Anyway, I gave him the awesome Cody head sculpt because in Season 7, we all know Kix is rocking his normal Temuera Morrison crew cut, standard Clone Trooper. He does have those cool tattoos on his head, as in earlier episodes from Season 2 and 4. He has those cool lightning tattoos on his head, and he's mostly shaved. This figure was a little hard to make with the design on the chest. I couldn't make the cross, the Republic version of the red cross, so I just did a standardized red medical cross on his shoulder plate and the backpack. Now we have a real goat, Hardcase, the one who sacrificed his life to save Fives and Jesse. This one I have my gripes with. One side is really good on the face, and then the other side of his faceplate kind of bled through, so the design on his face is a little bit messed up. But other than that, I think the paint job is pretty good throughout the rest of the figure. It was more simple. The hardest part was just the 2 cheek plates on his helmet. Next up, we have Clone Trooper Dogma. So this one came out pretty good, I would have to say as well. I don't have any real gripes with it. The paint has held up. A lot of the newer ones that I made with the Sharpie markers, the paint is falling off, and you definitely will see that soon. Clone Trooper Tup, the sad boy arc of Season 6, the first Clone Trooper to have a chip malfunction and preemptively execute Order 66. This character was really cool, and obviously a little bit harder to make because of the teardrop logo he has under his eye on the faceplate and on each shoulder pad. I just had solid blue lines on the shoulder pads, and I put a little dot on the faceplate because, like I've said in my other videos and the showcases of these figures, I am not an artist in any regards. So I did my best, and I was very young when I made these, so the concepts and the stills of the shots were harder to find back in the day. Now to end it all off with one of my favorite Clone Troopers, Jesse. This character had a super sad end to Season 7 when he did go through with Order 66 and couldn't be saved by Rex and Ahsoka. This character is really cool. Like Hardcase and Kix, Jesse was introduced in that Season 2 Cut Lawquane episode, and it was such a cool episode showcasing their Phase 1 armor, and then we don't see them all the way until Season 4 on the Umbara arc with their updated Phase 2 armor. And then we see Jesse once again in Season 7 with his updated ARC Trooper armor. That's definitely a custom I would have loved to make on an ARC Trooper body, Clone Wars style, but as we all know, those figures are an arm and a leg, so probably won't ever happen. We have the Vintage Collection one, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. Moving on to some infantry troops from the 501st Legion and the 212th Attack Battalions. They are very cool and prominently seen all throughout Star Wars. Very famous, of course. I have 5 of each, so these were another set that I made not too long after I made my original 5. So I was always really wanting repaints of those characters since Hasbro never did them. So like many collectors, we all did them ourselves. Sadly, these ones specifically are the ones that the paint is starting to actually flake off because that Sharpie oil-based paint, for whatever reason, is really not that good. So you can see it a little bit better on the 212 Trooper on his knees area. The paint just flakes off and it leaves a stain behind, so you can't really try and wash it away or anything. I've tried. It just is what it is. So I really try not to handle them because the paint just falls off. And I've tried to reseal them and it just makes it worse. So they're kind of just indefinitely stuck this way. But again, I'm very happy with how they turned out. Moving on to an absolute goat of a clone trooper. This one is solely based off concept art way prior to when the Season 7 came out of the Clone Wars, when we got to see an updated model of, yes, this is Echo. So this was my iteration of what he would look like based off the concept art that was rendered already online. I basically made a kit bash of him, so it uses a actual Echo Phase 1 body. I use a Snow Captain Rex comma and a Saga Collection or movie figure Cody helmet. And I cut off all the antennas and stripped all the paint and gave him his classic armor design. Now looking at how he appeared in Season 7 and then the Bad Batch, I'm kind of happy I ended up making him in this light because he never really redonned his 501st armor or ARC Trooper armor, which obviously is blown up. So, I mean, I feel like he would have kind of gone back since he could have customized his armor. He would have made it a little bit more personable back with his handprint and whatnot. The blues are mismatchy on purpose because I wanted the armor to seem a little bit faded and I wanted his helmet to be new and prominent along with it matching the actual handprint on his chest. You also notice on his right wrist, you see a painted tube. I made that solely to have a technological piece embedded in his new design because yes, I was also under the impression that he was going to be a little bit more robotic considering he did get blown up. So I made some sort of like, and of course you might notice he has a 5 on his hand plate as well, and he has it on his leg. I feel like that was one of the biggest gripes I have, where he never even acknowledged 5s once he came back or asked about him or nothing. There was not a single line of dialogue between him and Rex, which really upset me and a lot of people watching the show because it would have been a really heartfelt moment knowing that he was dead, came back to find out that his best friend is now dead. So I feel like he wanted to represent his brother. I also gave him a removable helmet using the regular Echo head sculpt. And if it'll focus up, you can see that I actually added some mechanical pieces as well. All right, on to a rather easy one. This character is in my own lore of Star Wars. It was actually my first custom I ever made a long time ago on a Phase 1 clone trooper. And it was just, his name was Wrench. And he was part of the 501st, specifically one of Ahsoka's closer friends within the Legion. He was a heavy weapons expert, and he wanted to keep his armor very simple. This is his Phase 2 iteration, which is a very recent custom I made. It utilizes a standard Phase 2 clone body with a Jet Trooper helmet. But what the difference is I went ahead and sanded off the red logo, and it leaves us with this really cool blue marking design on the helmet. So I was like, wow, that's a really good idea. And then I took a spare Galactic Marine backpack, stripped it, repainted it, and then glued a blaster pistol holster on top of it. And the final custom, which is my most recent, which kind of broke the chains of the longest period of time I went without making a custom ever. Many, many years went by and I never made one again. So this one brought me kind of back into that realm. This one is another kind of random headcanon iteration of a commander, and I named him Commander Holt with an H. And he's part of the Outer Rim Garrison. I've always really liked a black paint deco for clones, so I feel like I wanted to really utilize that on this piece. It uses a Phase 2 Commander Cody body and a Captain Rex Phase 2 comma. So I heated up the middle, separated the waist from the legs, put in that comma piece, snapped them back together. Obviously, all the paint had to be stripped off from the Cody, so I did that as well. Left certain parts of the gray and that commander patch on his chest plate, and gave him some light gray pistols and a removable helmet. I didn't do anything special to the head. It's just another Cody head sculpt, but it always looks really, really good. The new method I used for this figure, though, is the coolest part. I found myself a new paint that I'm using. It is this acrylic-based paint. It works really, really, really good on these figures. And then to seal it, I used this Dura Clear High Gloss, and it's meant for plastics and whatnot. So it worked really, really well coating this figure. It's not sticky at all. So that's really cool. And I used a paintbrush to apply both. So I'll show the paintbrush that I used. This brand Top Notch was pretty good. And then I can just quickly show what I'm working on next. It is a heavy gunner for the Outer Rim Garrison unit that I want to make eventually. It used to be a Commander Doom Trooper. So I stripped the paint off that. It actually was a really good custom, but it wasn't sealed properly, so the paint was just falling off. So all I have started on him is his comlink that I painted up quickly with a red and black deco. And then eventually I'll figure out a design I want for this figure. But right now he just looks like a really dirty trooper, which honestly isn't terrible. So eventually I'm going to be making a unit for these guys, but I'm going to take my time because I want it to come out really good. And now we're at the end of the video for that classic family photo showcasing all of my customs in this part 1 episode of my custom clone troopers. Stay tuned for another one of these videos later down the road. I do have a lot of other customs to go through, but I figured I'd try to keep the theme of animated for right now, but I do have a lot of custom movie figures as well. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed my custom video part 1. I will be doing a part 2 at some point. I just don't know when. So talk to me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me some of the customs you're making or have made. Anyway, subscribe if you're new. Drop a like. And until next time, like always, keep it real and peace out.